Good afternoon. My name is Michael Rice. For those of y'all who know me, you are lucky. This is what I always say for my speeches. Today for my speech, I want to talk to you about tests and testimonies. That's the title of my speech. Turning tests into testimonies. A lot of you may not know what a testimony is. A lot of you may think that the testimony I'm referring to is the testimony of witnesses when they see a crime and then they go into the courtroom and they give their testimony. Not this time. The testimony I'm referring to is the testimony that we see a lot in the church. A testimony to me is when you go through something, you go through a test, and then you live through it, so you tell your story. You tell your story. Speaking of story, I was told by a good friend that everyone has a story. And your story sometimes defines you. If you haven't noticed, I'm a little jittery up here because this is my first time actually telling this story. This is my story. My test was losing my mother 2.5 years ago. On July 6, 2014, at 6:43 p.m., I lost my mom. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. Something I'm still trying to heal from. But I lost her. We were out at a family gathering. We were out to eat. All the family was together. I drove. My mom was a woman who battled a lot of sickness. She had heart attacks. She had leg amputations. You name it, she had it. But she was a strong woman. So we were leaving the restaurant, helping her into the car like I always would. And she murmured words to me as she felt I was holding her down instead of helping her up. She murmured words to me. She told me 3 words. Let me go. To this day, I don't really know if she meant that literally or figuratively. But I let her go. And I sometimes regret letting her go at that moment. But when I let her go, she stood up on her own. And she got in the car on her own. And I felt a sense of pride in my mother because she usually needs me to hold her up. So I was proud. I walked around to the other side of the car to get in the driver's seat. As I'm putting on my seatbelt, I noticed that my mama seems like she's fainting away. Her eyes are rolling in the back of her head. I don't know what's going on. It's one of her faint spells that she usually has, but she usually just wakes back up from it and moves on. But not this time. This time, she left and she left forever. I'll never forget seeing her head drop, eyes wide open, and she left me in this world all alone. It's something that hurts me to this day. I had to, and I'm not going to cry, because I know she's in a better place, but I had to sit right here and watch my mother leave me in this world. I had to. And I could do nothing about it. Nothing about it. Except yell for help. As the ambulance came, I knew it was really over. So I kissed her goodbye. 30 minutes later, they pronounced her dead at McLeod Hospital in Florence, South Carolina. From that point in my life, I was just lost. I didn't know how I could ever live my life without my mother in it, my confidant, my everything. I did not understand how God expected me to be able to make another step, to make another decision without my mother. Because that was my all in all. That was my test. Having to see your mother pass away. Having to see her in a casket. Having to not be able to hear her say, I love you anymore. Those things that mothers tell you that make you feel all right. I don't get to see those things. I don't get to hear those things. But that was my test. How do I turn that test into a testimony? This is the good part. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. So I had to do something. I looked to God. A lot of you may not be religious, And a lot of you may not believe in the same thing I believe in, but it is a fact that you believe in something. Whether you believe in yourself, you believe in someone, you believe in something. I believe in God. And I look to Him, and I turn to Him. So how did I turn that test into a testimony? It's Him. Through faith. Through faith. Because I know that I had to believe in God in order for me to be all right. In my mind, I say to myself that if I believe in God, and that He is truly my Lord and Savior, my mom is in a better place than she was when she was here on this earth. She's in a better place. So I have to believe in God for that reason. I have to have that faith for that reason. Because if I do not have that faith, I'm once again lost. See, right now I can talk about it because I know she's in a better place. So my question for you is, what did you have to do? What did you have to do when you were faced with a test? What did you have to do to turn your test into a testimony? A lot of you may not have reached your testimony yet. A lot of you may still be going through your test. So what are you going to do to reach your testimony? My mom's birthday is on March 9th. That was yesterday. One of the hardest days of my life, but a lot of you may not have saw it. That's my testimony. I'm able to speak about it. And that's something I never was able to do up until last night when I talked to my roommate Miller. And I didn't know if I was going to make it through this speech, but thank you anyway.